Furious Driving, proud to be supported by Diamond Bright, protecting, cleaning and caring for the Furious fleet and for yours with 10% off using code FD10. Bidding Classics, the online classic car marketplace with more cars added every week. And Lancaster Insurance cover the Furious fleet. They are one of the biggest specialist insurers in the UK, covering all areas of vintage to modern classic cars and motorbikes. Follow the links in the description below. And welcome to Furious Driving. Now, after the absolute disaster of finding all of the rot in the Crown Victoria, I had some good news. Well, the good news is the people who watched the channel and were so really helpful, because I was hunting around trying to find repair panels and things for this car, and it's not a car that was ever sold in the UK or Europe, in fact nowhere outside of North America, so finding parts in other countries can be a tiny bit tricky. However, I was looking around finding repair panels that were a bit expensive, and someone put me onto a company called Easy Panels in Poland. And now 2 weeks later, after the initial discovery of all this, we've got the wing off, we've seen how bad the rust is, we've now got some enormous repair panels. So let's get this cardboard open and have a look what we got. Okay, so this is a really big package, and inside we have got, hopefully, yes, well, oh, no, not quite what I was expecting, to be perfectly honest. We've got a pair of sill panels to go around the bottom edge of the car. Now, they're not handed, obviously. The reason I bought these panels was actually because I was expecting them to have ends on them, which is the part I really wanted, because the rest of it is just folded metal. But at least we've got long, straight, single pieces that I can put down the entire length of the floor. So on this side, which is the passenger side, being an American car, but for the UK eyes, this is the driver's side. We've got a huge hole here at the back. And following forward, this is all bubbly and blistery, so I don't really know how good this metal actually is. It gets blistery and cracky there, becomes a massive hole here in the centre, which does not look pretty at all. It goes forward, still a bit lumpy bumping on the bottom, and finally at the front it disappears again. So having this entire length here to replace it with will be a good way of keeping strength in here. Now, fortunately, as I've said in previous videos, this is a body-on-frame car, so this is not actually structural. This is just the body on top. However, what I will do is make sure I keep the doors closed on this side while I'm cutting into it, so that we don't get any kind of sagging of the body shell itself, although we shouldn't do, because it's all stuck to that massive, massive frame. So looking at the profile of this panel, this is the way around it goes. So this is a little lip that goes on here. It would weld onto that panel just there. This is the base panel, which has got all the holes in it, and this side here, with the little rebate at the top, is this area here. What I think I will try and do is cut along the curve, or just after the curve, on the vertical part, because I think the vertical part is generally solid. So I think I'll be putting more strength into it by putting the new curve from the new metal, rather than having the old curve, which is potentially a bit grossy. That's the idea anyway. Right, before we make a start on attacking the car with the heavy-duty equipment, we need to do a bit of clearing out on the inside, because this has got, well, it's got rubber floors which won't catch fire immediately, but they will melt, and we've got chairs which will catch fire immediately. So we need to be making a start on getting these things out. Now, I did previously attack these bolts with a bit of Bulldog BDX, because I thought it would give us a chance to loosen them off. Otherwise they could be well and truly stuck in there. I'm not quite sure how far or how close we're going to get, but I don't really want to take any chances. So yeah, there we go. This is where we are. We're actually not going that far. I don't know. We're going to be going to about that far, so I think certainly taking the rubber flooring up isn't going to be a bad idea. Now, this is the bit I always really hate, because I'm looking at a car which is basically a complete entity, well, partly rusty but unbroken, solid car, and the thought of just taking the grinder wheel to it and start pulling it to pieces is always just a bit, what am I letting myself in for? But you know, we've got nothing to fear but fear itself, and pain, and obviously death, and humiliation and failure. But apart from pain, death, humiliation, failure, and yeah, the knowledge we've made a huge mistake, we've nothing to fear but fear itself. So let's get on with it. Turns out this battery tray, although useless for batteries, being as rotten as anything in any Mark II Escort, or any Escort or Fiesta in fact, is actually ideal for putting a cup of coffee on. Brilliant. Okay, getting the seat out is actually pretty easy by the look of it. We've got 2 bolts here at the front corners, then rolled it all the way forward, and you've got 2 more that are exposed on the back. Let's just get these undone. We can roll the seat out there. Thank goodness I've been soaking this in Bulldog, because it is it can be undone. Just hoping nothing, I shouldn't say it. Don't even say the words, I'm hoping nothing shears, because you just instantly know what's going to happen, don't you, if you do that. Oh, it's not the same size bolt on the inside. Well, that's curious. I thought they were all going to be 13s. That would make, sense. It's actually coming out really easily. No, it isn't. It's not coming undone at all. It's just rotating, which means this one's not captive anymore. So I think that should be a captive, not just there. But it turns out it's not. That's a good start. I'm 2 bolts in and already it's gone wrong. So this one, this 18mm, is definitely putting up more of a fight. Right, that's free at last. Oh no, there's power leads to it. Okay, coming out without the wires attached to it. Now the question is, what on earth do I do with this thing? It's massive. Wow, someone in America really liked peanuts, which are now going mouldy. That's actually quite gross. I'm glad I took this out, because that needs a good old clean up. So very much learning as I go with this thing. This plastic cover with the hex Torx top on it is actually only a single twist. It's a weird, looks like a Millennium Falcon on the back. Just keep twisting and pushing and eventually it comes out. And that is a T50 on the front of that. And then you've got a second T50 which actually anchors the seatbelt in there. And this is what I need to be undoing so I can then finally get this rubber matting away from the metal floor. Well, that was an entire morning well spent with pretty much every tool at my disposal. Would have been stuffed without the Bulldog just there. Would have been resorting to the grinder probably. So we've now got this pulled up. I think because we're only going to do the outer skin, we can leave this stuff here where it is for the moment. I just want to get this away from the floor because the floor is going to get hot and then it's going to melt. So I'll chalk this up with some lumps of wood. What is interesting, this wire here was the I think the aerial, there's cut off aerials on the boot on either side, and this must have been one of them. So yeah, I wonder what that went to, because there are little screw holes on the dashboard which must have been the radios. It's a shame not to have them anymore. But while I've got this all out of the car, I am going to soak all of this up in some rust remover to clean them up, and also put some black rust-proof paint on these cleaned up runners, because that looks really mucky as well. So the whole thing will go back together looking a lot nicer, which will be a good thing. Right, let's get this chocked up and then start making holes in the floor. Okay, now working towards an actual cut into the metalwork. What I needed was a nice straight scribed line down the length of the car so I get a nice clean edge, and what I've done is a nice clean straight line about half a centimetre to a centimetre up from this curve, so the shape of the new metal will be around here, so we'll have the strength of the new metal with no rust in it in the new panel, and then easy to weld a flat on the side rather than underneath. And to achieve this, got a bit creative. It took me a few goes to figure out what to do, but in the end used a metal drill bit, brand new so it's nice and sharp. Then I got a bit of cardboard and folded it to go into this groove just here. So as I ran down here with the drill bit pushed through the cardboard, it scribed a nice straight line down the length of the car. I'm going to call that genius, frankly. The first cut, as they say, is the deepest. Now I've got air cut-off tool for accuracy, so I can follow that line down nice and straight. And then for extreme destruction along the bottom, I've got an actual angle grinder. All this Draper stuff is available in the Amazon affiliate link in the description below, and a big thank you to the air compressor for kicking in then. Right, obviously I'm not looking forward to this, so I should probably take my glasses off, probably put those on. Let's get it going. Now, to be honest, I did have a moment of, oh my gosh, what happens if I cut this panel off here and the side of the car collapses? And I thought, don't be stupid, because the side of the car isn't supported by this one little panel. The state of this, it would have gone already. You've got the front and rear bulkheads, you've got the inner part of this box section. There's a lot more meat to be ground off. I feel queasy just doing this. My poor beautiful Crown Vic. I think I might need a bigger compressor for this. Okay, we're going in with the grinder for everything. managed to get in my eye, even though I've got glasses on. Red hot metal is never fun in the eye. Right, let's try and get an end off this, because this has got an actual end on it just there. Okay, so this is appearing to be a massive great box section of stuff here. There's a twin layer thing. Oh my word, I love it when it's a twin layer thing. It makes it so much easier. That does actually appear to be quite solid metal just there. I might actually take this back down to the edge at that point. Okay, so I'm attacking this fairly slowly and methodically so I can work out how it all goes back together so I don't screw it up later on. And what I'm discovering is it's actually two box sections, a box section within a box section, so it's double skinned down here in the bottom, which, considering this is, again, as I just said earlier, only like the cosmetic body, this does seem overkill, frankly. Well, these are incredibly strong and heavy cars, and this is part of the reason. So what I'm going to have to do is weld this internal box first of all, and then weld the outer box around it, which is great fun. And I'm trying to go back to find where the good metal starts, because if I've got to do two box sections, that's just adding to the complication no end. But yeah, I keep on finding crusty fuzzy stuff which is dissolving, so all good fun. It's kind of tricky at the minute because it's basically midday and the sun is right in my eyes whenever I look upwards. I keep thinking I found the end of the rust and then finding it goes on a bit further, which is great. Yeah, because I'm looking at this outer skin, and this section here is only about 50 centimetres or 40 centimetres or so. It's really nice outer skin metal. But the trouble is the stuff on the inside is just fuzzy, just crusty as nothing. So I've got to get through there. Now, one problem with using battery powered tools like grinders is they do run down fairly quickly, but fortunately I have got a bit of a pile of batteries, but I am burning through them quite fast. Well, I think what it feels like, oh no, maybe not. Don't speak too soon. Feels like I've hit good metal. I have not hit good metal. What I'm feeling is the good metal on the outside giving strength to the crumbly stuff on the inside. Oh, okay. So this is what's coming off the bottom of the car. This is a good cross-section of how thick the metal is for one thing, but also the state of it. It's a sandwich with rust. It's a rust sandwich, rust in the middle of the sandwich. That's the inside of the box section. So that's the inner part of the two bits of metal. So that's rusty up there. And every now and then I'm getting a patch where I'm thinking I'm reaching good metal, but I'm not. I'm just hitting a good nice bit, and then it finally goes over to supercrust, and then it goes rotten again. Marvellous. I'm also running out of cutting discs. I'm getting through them quite rapidly. One thing I have to say though is one nice bit of paint, so I can use it as a paint shop guide, so I can use that to mix me up a can of something. This is the cutted back area. It's just nothing there. It's just kept on crumbling and crumbling. So this is what happens when you try and fix a car with expanding foam or any other kind of bodge thing that doesn't fix it properly. It just stores the problems up for later and makes it 100 times worse for whoever comes next. Because by putting the expanding foam at the end, it's not waterproof, so the water has soaked through it, been held by it, so the metal has just dissolved, and then just crept down the length of the sill all down here, so we've now got just no metal left anymore. It's an absolute, I don't know, I can't describe it in words that aren't utterly obscene, because I'm so annoyed at whoever did this in America. Seriously, what an absolute bodge merchant. I think it's time for a new disc. This bit here, which I thought was a lovely solid bit of metal down here, not even slightly solid. This actually looked quite solid until I started cutting through it, and then it just dissolved underneath the blade. Okay, after quite a lot of hours of cutting, and I'm sure some very irritated neighbours, and I've really got to go and turn that off, I've now got a clean, smooth edge to my, what was a sill. We've got the inner box cut out, and we've got the outer box cut off to a smooth edge. A couple of places I've gone a little bit wonky, but we'll figure that out. Yeah, now I need to go and look at, well, I'll probably do this after the fact. This area here, this bottom of this front panel here is also rusty, but I think this is a second area as opposed to the actual sill area. This is not covered by the first sill. The problem is, because I had never had the original car to look at, it's very hard to work out what this is meant to look like, because I never got to see it, because it had dissolved long before I started attacking it. Right, and because today has been quite fun enough already, I'm going to go one last thing to annoy the neighbours and go in with a wire brush and try and find some metal underneath there. I think I need to try and take off some of these layers of what looks like rusticles from the Titanic with the blade, otherwise I'm never going to get a smooth cut weld on there. Right, so coming to the end of the second day of cutting holes in the floor of the Crown Vic. I was hoping when I started this video that I'd be able to sort of just have some welding done and this side virtually be buttoned up after the end of one day. This job though is the very definition of mission creep. If you look up mission creep in the dictionary, you will see this, because this is gone from, there's a little tiny hole in the middle of the outer sill area, quick plate on that for an MOT retest, and we're done, to finding no floor, to taking that floor off and then discovering there's a second floor that's not there either. So basically I've gone from having to weld a tiny little patch like that to welding about 2.5 meters twice. So yeah, this is hilarious fun and so much more work than I was anticipating. So yeah, I think I might go and declare this car sawn so it doesn't automatically re-tax for June, because I'm starting to actually wonder if I'll have it back on the road in time for any of June at all. I don't want to waste best part of 30 quid for taxing it for it not going anywhere, because I haven't actually sourced any wings yet. A couple of people on Facebook have made suggestions. There's a couple we might have found in the Netherlands, someone might have one in Yorkshire, and I've spoken to someone in Surrey who knows a network of people who might have an option. So there's possibilities of new wings out there, but obviously I can't put this back together and then start on the second side until I've had a new wing or a repaired wing put back together for this side and had it painted. So yeah, this is going to be a little bit of delay going on with this, so lots and lots of good fun. Yay. Right, so thank you for bearing with me, and this is, as I say, much bigger job than I'd ever possibly anticipated. And yeah, it's going to be several videos of welding. I've cut out, I will have cut out by the time you've seen this, hours of cutting and grinding. All along here, where this is spot welded to this flat piece down here, it's a sandwich of 3 pieces of metal. There's the base metal, which is the fold down from the other side of the floor, then there's the first box section, and then there's a second box section. So I'm kind of grinding the top 2 box sections off there and trying to leave the original floor panel untouched. Otherwise, when I'm trying to spot weld or drill and spot weld through here, that's not going to work. This is just so much work. Because when this was done originally, this would have been all 3 panels squeezed and pressed at once. I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm going to have to make the inner box panel first of all, and then make the outer box. I'm going to have to buy more metal as well. Before I bought the repair sill panels, I just went and bought like a ½ meter square of steel. It's nowhere near enough, even for just one of these box sections. Anyway, I need to go and get this thing edited now, because believe it or not, this is happening pretty much in real time. I'm doing the work, I'm editing it and throwing it on the internet as it happens. And in answer to all the people who commented, scrap it, obviously I'm not going to scrap it for 2 reasons. First of all, I've got too much money in this car to start with. The cost of buying it and importing it and registering it, that's thousands of pounds. I'm not going to bin it off because there's a bit of rust in it. And secondly, I would never scrap an otherwise good car for the sake of a few holes in the floor, honestly. If you're watching a car restoration channel and think the answer is scrap it every time you see a bit of rust in the car, you're probably watching the wrong channel. Right, I'm going to call it a day for this. I'm going to call it a day now, get editing, get a cup of tea. Thank you for watching, like and subscribe, you know the drill. Head over to furiousdrone.co.uk where you will find all manner of merchandise, car stickers, magnets, whatever you. I think I'm actually out of stock on the caps. If you've got a summer now it's somewhere around to stock on baseball caps. Got lots of nice warm beanies in stock though. And channel members and channel Patreons do get a discount, which I think I need to go and sort out again. Got a feeling that's going to renew soon. I'm exhausted. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon.